to be at it throttled?
I can try, but
that would let more air in.
Try again.
I'm out. It's totally out. Oh. Totally out. All right, hold on.
Welcome to Barn Bike Builds. I'm Mason, and this is my buddy Lance, and today he came over to give me a hand on the Honda Shadow. We're going to try and clean out these carbs, possibly without pulling them off the bike, so he'll give you the overview of how that's going to go.
All right, great. Thanks, Mason. The deal is with this bike is the fuel was left sitting in the carbs in the tank for, we're not sure the amount of time, but maybe a year or less. So I have a small engine repair business, and I kind of see this kind of thing all the time. And as fuel degrades, it'll get to a certain point where it turns into a varnished fuel, and you guys have probably smelled that weird paint smell that old dirty gas gets. This bike has this. We're hoping it has not gone to the point where it's turned into solid material in the carbs. If it's still in a liquid state, but it's just old nasty fuel, we're attempting to do a quick clean on the carb without actually removing the carb by draining the carb through the drain bolts on each carb, and then we're going to backflow carb cleaner up through the bowl of the carburetor that way, and try to put some through the main fuel hose that would be the main fuel feed to the carburetor. And we're trying to see if that's going to be enough to get the bike running and started, and maybe possibly let it clean itself up and work itself out of there. It's better than taking the carbs off right from the get-go if we can do this and have a quick hour or less fix. All right, hey guys, to get it this right side carburetor on here, this air box where the air filter is, this is part of it. All that's kind of in the way, obstructing our view of it, and also we need to get in there in order to get to the drain bolt on the bottom of the carburetor. So I've saved some of the work already, but to get this thing off of here, to get this actual chrome piece off, there's Allen wrench bolts, hex bolts all the way around here, but you don't necessarily even need to do that if we're trying to take the whole unit. So if you were to look down vertically here, there's a 10mm bolt, another 10mm bolt that I've already loosened. And then over here, connecting this little snorkel to this portion of the air box, there's just a Phillips screwdriver that's basically just a clamp holding this thing. That's already been pre-loosened. So it's really as simple as that, which now exposes this drain bolt that we have to get to on this carburetor, because what it is everywhere from this seam right here and below is full of nasty gas. The jets are hanging down in here in order to draw the fuel out of the bowl into the combustion chamber. We have fuel in here that's varnished, but we just don't know how bad it is. So if it's still in a liquid state, we might be able to get it out of there and carb clean back, put carb cleaner backwards through here and fill this up, and it may correct itself. So we're going to do this on this side. We're going to repeat it on the other side. We're going to hope that this will save us from pulling the carbs off. All right, guys, we got the air box out of the way. The whole point was to expose this little drain screw right here on the bottom of the bowl. When you loosen this, there's actually a long bolt that's opening a chamber that's going to allow the bad fuel to come out of this hole right here. So, yeah, you could let it just pour all over your engine and then clean it off later, or you could put some kind of a little drain hose on there like we have and bring this down into like some sort of a reservoir to catch it. Just for the video's purposes, to help you guys out, I just want you to see though what is coming out of that hole. So, and again, I said this earlier, but varnished fuel, anytime you smell that gasoline that just smells like turpentine or paint, it has a very distinctive smell. That's fuel that's on its way to going bad. When the lighter parts of the fuel evaporate off, it eventually leaves a solid, and it's a different substance. It just won't combust, it won't burn, and eventually it won't run, and then eventually it'll turn solid. So, let's see if I can get this screwdriver in here. So when we crank this loose, see that real yellow, well, we only got one drop come out. There's some more. Well, I figured more of that would have come out.
So because there's no actual liquid really coming out,
There's your
do you think
screw.
that's a good or a bad thing?
To be honest, I'm not sure what the previous owner had left in this bike and what he did, so we're kind of a little bit of a mystery right now since we don't know all the history on the bike. But let me set this over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just shoot carb cleaner back up through there and almost like try to force feed it back up in there a little bit and see if we can get it, you know, to fill this little section of the ball. So we have the drain plug removed from right here, and that should allow this long plug here. You see how long it is? That end is going past that thing, this little drain reservoir right, or this drain spout. So we've removed that so that now any fuel that was in here should be able to drip right out of there, which we did just drain it. What I'm going to do is just take some basic Walmart carburetor cleaner here, and you really, I don't have safety glasses on now. You really should, because this stuff really is not, you don't ever want to get it in your eyes. But I'm trying to force feed this to maybe fill some of this. If you can see right here, the bowl of the carburetor, I want to get as much of this in there as I can. And yeah, it's going to come dripping out the bottom too, but I'm trying to see if I can clean out all that nasty fuel that was in that bowl and in the jets and the needle valve and everything. And you can tell that I got a good bit in there because it's still steadily running out of there, which means some of it was up in that reservoir. So we're on the left side of the bike now, the left carb, and the drain, you know, the drain release is actually facing backwards instead of straight in. So it's a little more difficult to get to. So you just got to get a little creative, you know. It's just a regular screwdriver. So we just took a screwdriver, a bit, put a pair of vice grips on it, and we angled it, you know, we got it in the slot nice and tight, and we cracked it loose. So we did already pre-loosen this. And then you can just kind of finagle your fingers in there, holding the bit, and get it out the rest of the way. It's a little challenging, but it's do. See all that? Can you see the? Let me get out of the way here. Look at all that ugly-looking fuel coming out of there. Now, the one good sign, yes, we know it's bad fuel. That's not a good thing, but fuel that's still in a liquid state and is bad like that is better than having fuel that has turned into a solid, completely different substance. So there might still be hope with this. So let me take this out the rest of the way. Like I said, it's a little bit of a challenge, but it's not that bad. And once I can get it out a little more, I can grab it with my fingertips.
Now Lance is going to go ahead and hit this side with the carb cleaner as well.
Gonna work that up in there. Force a good bit of it up in there. And I just have to throw this in, that this is very important for us to remember, is there's carb cleaner now all over the engine. This stuff is extremely flammable. Do not attempt to start the, the bike until all of that's cleaned off of there or is fully evaporated off. It probably wouldn't even hurt after you let it sit for a while to evaporate to maybe even spray it down with, some water or something like that, because any kind of backfire or whatever could ignite that. So, but we need to get this up in there to clean it, so there's really not another option.
Have you ever had it backfire and
yes.
catch fire before?
And it's scary. And because there's so much everywhere, it's not just the initial backfire that's the issue, it's everywhere, the surrounding fluid that it ignites. So we've back flushed with carburetor cleaner up through the drain hole the best that we could, until everything's running clear. And now the other issue is the top side of the carburetor, where the fuel, this would normally connect to the tank, and this would go into the system and be dispersed into the carburetor. So if we could get carb cleaner to come back this way to make sure we hit everything on the top side too, meaning it would go through the needle valve where the float's attached to and come into the carburetor that way, we're just going to clean it out that much more. So I would not recommend doing what I'm doing right now because this stuff is toxic, but at the same time, I'm trying to help. You know, if you're like me and there's times where I didn't have an air compressor, I didn't have all the right tools, you could put, you know, some carb cleaner in this line. You could, and if that was clean, you could just really just blow right in there and literally force it out there. So I'll get out of the way here.
We'll switch over here so we can get the angle of both.
And did it come out pretty good?
It did. It did.
Okay, so unless the actual jets in the carburetor are clogged with solid varnish material from old fuel, this should have cleaned it out fairly well. And assuming that the little orifice that delivers the fuel to each cylinder is clear, when we're all done with this job, it should, in theory, start. You know, we just don't know for sure the severity of, you know, the varnished fuel that was in there, but you know, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see. Okay guys, it seems like the left side carb came flowing out really well, the carb cleaner, when we fed it through the fuel line. So the issue was with both of the drains out of both carbs when I was blowing the carburetor cleaner through here, which you really should use compressed air set at a very low amount. You really shouldn't be using it with your mouth, but hey, if you're in the backyard and you're desperate and you're careful and use some wisdom, you know, you can do it. But what was happening is the pressure was favoring this side and all our carb cleaner was coming out of this side. So I had to put this, the drain bolt back in to force the fluid to now come out that side. So that's what we're gonna try right now. Did it come out?
Some. Go ahead and do some more.
I'll just, if it comes out, I'll just...
Ready? Okay.
And I don't think you need it. I don't know if it's up to you, but see if it'll... Oh, yes! Who's your daddy? Well, that was progress, though.
So that's the first start of the motorcycle. We still got a lot of work to do. It's not running properly, but it is running now. And so we're going to get that engine tuned to function in the right way. If you like the content we provide, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and like the video. Thank you for watching.